Welcome to Mum Days, a beautiful collective of mamas and experts sharing wisdom, inspiration, and life hacks to support us on this journey through the hazy days of motherhood. Welcome to the Mom Days podcast. My name is Holly Lowe, and I am your host. And this is my first solo episode. I'm so excited to be able to just hang out with you and me and share a little bit about what's been going on in our lives and talk about what's coming up. You're going to want to stay tuned because there are some great guests coming and some good topics that we've got planned for you as we head into the fall. So don't go anywhere. I have had a lot going on in the last few months. Now, many of you, if you've been following along, you've heard me chatting with our guests, and I share bits and bops about our stories in our life and the things that my family has been, has done and has been going through and experienced. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity for our first episode to tell you a bit about who I am. Where did I come from? Why am I doing this? And just tell you where we're going, because I hope you're excited. I hope you're excited to be on this journey with me and our guests and our family as we go through the next few months together and really just plan out what's going to happen as we go along. So let's jump right in. I am a mama of 3. You've heard me talk about my little ones, not so little ones, I guess, anymore. And now I'm a mom of a teenager. When did that happen? In the blink of an eye. I feel like I had my firstborn yesterday and he's 13 already. So I am now a mom of a teenager, a 9-year-old daughter who is going on 20, I'm pretty certain. Moms with daughters in the 9 to 10 year age, you know what I'm talking about. This is craziness. And then I've got an incredible 6-year-old son as well. And honestly, I always joke that if he had been a girl, we'd have to have named him Joy, because he is seriously the highlight of our lives, of our everyday. He makes us laugh. He is a sweetheart and he just loves me fiercely. So they're all incredible children. I've been blessed, honestly. I know that we've had a hand in it, but I've definitely been blessed with really cool kids. So I'm grateful for that. But let's talk a little bit about this life that we live, and I'll tell you how it goes and what it looks like, and maybe some of the things that we've been going through lately, because I haven't had some ups and downs in the last few months. So let me share some of that with you. But I don't want it to be too long. I want you to get excited about what's coming in the months ahead. Our family lives in one of the most beautiful places, I think, in Canada. I know there's some gorgeous places in Canada, but we live in Wasaga Beach. And this is interesting. Until I moved here, I did not know that Wasaga Beach, if you look it up, is one of the world's longest freshwater beaches. So we live on one of the Great Lakes. We live on Georgian Bay, and the beach is right outside our door. I love it. It's the most beautiful place. It's quiet. We live on a cottage street and we know everybody, and it's so, so friendly and sweet, and we adore being here. When we're not here and when we're not locked in our country, Lord help us, we are flying to England a lot. Not in the last year and a half, of course. I'm really missing my home away from home. I call England my second home, or maybe if I had a past life, I was definitely British, because when my feet hit that British soil, I can't even explain to you the energy and the feeling. It is home to me. And it's really odd because I'd never been there up until 5 years ago. It was my first time there. And it was so overwhelming, even the first time, landing there and just getting immersed in working there and getting to know and making beautiful friends there. I'm still shocked by how much it feels like home there. So my heart is broken because I'm missing my second home. But we've had a great time getting to know our area better, connecting with our businesses here. I've joined the BNI network here in town. It's been so exciting getting to meet lots of business people and other mamas. So that's what I've been up to. My husband is a former phenomenal real estate agent, among other things. And he is now a full-time dad. I love it. I've been able to basically retire him, or we've been able to do that, I should say, with the work that we've done as Canadian founders with doTERRA. So that's been a lot of fun. I'm the owner of Oil Babies Limited. That's something that I own and operate. We've created our own brand, created my own baby store, all this good fun stuff. So that's what kind of keeps us rolling, keeps us busy, in among leadership, speaking, writing books, podcasting, all the other things that we get up to. And on top of all that, we homeschool. Yes, we do. Grades, I've lost track. Yes, I've kind of lost track. I think we're at grades 8, grades 4, and grade 2, something like that. Yes, good times. So that all starts on Tuesday. Big busy week as we launch back into homeschool. We don't really stop schooling in our house. We kind of school throughout the year secretly. They don't realize it. Anybody else do that? Manage to keep your kids learning through the summer? Definitely takes a break. We slow right down. This is the story that I haven't told and I wanted to take a few minutes to share, because I know there's so many mamas out there who have experienced what I've been through, and we tend to not share our stories as openly as we should. And recently, I'd say, when did we find out? I guess in May, June, July. Yeah. So in May, we actually found out we were expecting. We've been trying and struggling with secondary infertility, which you may have heard me speak with some of our amazing guests over the last little while. We've been struggling with that for the last 2 years, which was a huge shock because I've never had an issue. In fact, we laugh that my husband just has to look at me and I'm pregnant. So it's amazing that we've only managed to have 3 babies so far. We did lose a baby after our first. So when I had my son, he was around just turning 4, and we did lose a pregnancy then at around 9 weeks. And that was a really, as much as I was able to see it as a doula and understand my body and understand the process and respect and feel grateful that my body knew what it was doing, I also felt very betrayed by my body that it didn't work or didn't work out. My body worked, but that pregnancy didn't work out. So it was a real struggle. But I also realized, looking back, we jumped right kind of back in and got pregnant about a month and a half after that again with my daughter. And she was our rainbow baby. And that was a tough pregnancy because I spent the whole 9 months worrying, right? That stress. So those of you who've been through it, you know what I'm talking about. But I realized afterwards that I never paused. I really didn't take the time to pause and sort those feelings out, and to just breathe and just take some time to be disappointed, to take some time to cry, to take some time to grieve, whatever it was that I needed to do. I was so busy building a business and, looking after my son and all the things that were going on in our life at that moment. And I didn't really take enough time to give place for that grief. I realized after I was still dealing with a lot of grief from losing my dad, not too many years before that. And there was a lot of shock involved in that. He passed away out of the blue, just suddenly healthy guy before he was, even close to being of an age that we would worry about that. And he was my best friend. So when we lost him, we went through years of just working through the shock phase of grief without even really progressing well through the other stages of grieving. If you've ever experienced that or know what the stages of grief are, we kind of hung out in that shock, disbelief, anger, sadness area. And it affected our whole parts of our lives, the whole aspect of our family and our lives in other ways. It also affects your physical being, right? Unresolved grief, unresolved anger, unresolved any of those things, disappointment, all of that, when you hold that in your body, it builds and it creates a perfect environment, along with stress, along with being a mom, along with lack of sleep, all of those things. You can be doing all the right things. And if you haven't dealt with those emotions, if you haven't really spent time listening, healing, grieving properly, and moving through all of that, you will hold that into your very cells. It's incredible how it impacts our body. So that is something that I never paid attention to. And looking back, right? Hindsight is better than 2020, I think, if there is such a thing. We've got such clarity sometimes when we can see behind and say, if I had only known all the things and all the advice we gather, even on these podcasts, I say to myself all the time, I wish I had known this with my first baby. I wish I had known this when I was pregnant before. If we'd only known, here's the thing, we didn't know. All we can do is, as we know better, we do better. And you'll hear me say that often throughout our recordings. When we know better, it's up to us then to choose that better. Better not necessarily meaning you did something wrong. Better not meaning you're guilty of anything terrible. It's just we didn't know. And I really felt strongly, as I've done a lot of soul work over the last year, as we realized getting pregnant was going to be trickier. This time around, I started to look at, hey, I'm doing all the right things physically. What else could be stopping it? And all of these emotions started to show up. And it really helped that I was working with some incredible people. I started seeing my friend Brittany, who's a beautiful osteopath. She actually is going to be one of our guests, hopefully coming up soon. You'll hear from her. But she also does energy work and works with the body and osteopathy. And when you combine those modalities, it's just a beautiful combination. But she was able to help me just really see where those bottled up emotions kind of make like these little bundles through your gut, through your chest, through your insides. And it has a direct impact on your cellular health. It's incredible. And that affects our whole body. It actually can stop all kinds of things. It can stagnate different parts of us. So we were doing a lot of work. I did a lot of work with her. I was doing, a little bit more with hormone balancing naturally and just doing some extras to take care of myself for the last, starting from the new year and into the spring. And then in May, surprise, surprise, we were pregnant. So that was the big news that I didn't actually get a chance to share properly on any of our episodes up to that point, because the first few, month or two, you get pretty nervous. I was very nervous, of course. I'm usually not. I'm usually pretty chill about pregnancies, but after trying for so long and wanting this so badly, it's something that you kind of hold close, right? And I remember the day we told our kids that was probably about almost 9 weeks at the time. And my daughter bawled. She cried her eyes out when we told them. We did a video of it and the whole deal, and they were so excited, so over the moon excited, because they've been wanting this as much as we have, maybe more actually than what we have. And it was just such a special moment to be able to share that with them. But I was hesitant. I was hesitant to tell our families. I was hesitant to tell my mom, and they were kind of the last to know as we headed into the end of my first trimester. But I thought, this is crazy. Of all the people that should know and can support us regardless of what happens, it should be our children and our family. So we told everybody, and of course, everyone was super thrilled. Fast forward to just around my 12-week mark, when you start to celebrate, right? When you start to feel like, we're 12 weeks, we're good, everything's good. I was scheduled in for my first scan. I had already had my first visit with the midwives, and everything was lovely. I felt great. Nauseous, of course, tired as all get out, but just so thrilled. And I let myself hope. That was the big one, is from the moment I found out I was expecting, and we found out very early at like 5 weeks, I decided that regardless of what happens, I will allow myself to hope. I will allow myself to dream. I will allow myself to think up baby names. I will allow myself to sort out baby clothes and get rid of things and decide what we're keeping and get organized for a new baby. I embraced it. And that was a big step for me, because with all that work we had done, I chose not to hold anything back. I just chose that I'll embrace this journey. Whatever the end result, I will embrace it. And that was a really powerful thing for me. It might not seem like a big deal for other people, but taking that leap and taking that step to say, I know there's risks in this, and I know nothing is guaranteed. And I've been down this road before. We've had other losses, and I'm going to choose to just enjoy this process every week that goes by and celebrate it. And I did. I started doing week by week videos and having a really good time with it. And just the kids were over the moon. My youngest would kiss my belly every chance he got, and he still does actually. Kiss my belly and talk to baby and tell me how excited he was for baby to grow. And around 12 weeks, that's when things fell apart, which was really, really tough. So when we got to that 12-week mark and we realized that, we should be taking a deep breath and moving into the second trimester with ease and with confidence, it was a really, really good feeling. And it was like the next day I started spotting and I started bleeding. And the instant panic, the instant grief, the instant anger, all of it, all the emotions that normally I would not feel as much of. To be honest, I'd learned really early on as a mom to kind of bottle that up. But it all just came up so fast to the point where I thought I was going to be sick. It was just all of those emotions crashing in and the, oh no, this can't be happening moment. Now, again, then you've got all of the logic kicking in and saying, that's normal. It's okay. Don't panic. This can be completely normal. This happens to all kinds of women. Sometimes even bleeding is normal. It just doesn't mean there's anything horrible going on. Take a breath. And so I tried to walk that out in that manner. And for about 48 hours, that's how we progressed. It was just talking with our midwives, resting, taking it easy, whatever I could do to just see what was going on with my body. But by day 3, it was pretty obvious that it was not good and that my body was trying to clear things out and to end it. And, after a lot of tears, which again, I remember the first time when I went through it at 9 weeks, I don't remember even crying. I just remember having to go through it. I was on my own in a sense. My husband and my family were there, but I didn't have any, my midwives weren't able to be there at the time. They were on the phone with me and helping me through it. And they were beautiful and they were such a good support, but you kind of just have to handle it. And I was at home and I was fine. So I was able to go through it and just do that all at home. But at 12 weeks, it's a big difference. There's a significant difference between 9 weeks and 12 weeks pregnant, as you know. So this was definitely a different story. It was like labor. And I'm sharing it because I know you've been through it. I know there are mamas who have been through it even later. And I know how heart-wrenching it can be to walk that. I also know how scary pregnancy in general can just feel. So after having had beautiful, easy pregnancies and then having had some losses, the feeling of both. That gamut, that whole range of emotions that come with it all. So when we realized what was happening, both, my hubby and I, the kids, they were lucky enough to be, with good friends of ours and spend some time with them and not have to, it just was really a nice time for them. They knew what was going on, but they had the support of one of my best friends who had been through it many times with her family and her babies. So she knew more than anyone that I know. She knew firsthand really what was going on and how hard it was. So they had her to kind of talk them through and support them and love on them. So we got some time to be alone at home and just with the midwives on the phone and just trying to walk through what was happening. I didn't need to go to the hospital, thank goodness. Thankfully, my body was cooperating to a point. It was rough. So it took a good 24 hours for my body to know what it was doing. And the next day was my ultrasound that was already scheduled. So we said, let's just keep going. Let's go for the ultrasound and see what has happened and what's the end result. And we left that appointment with some confusion because they said, well, we're not too sure what we're seeing, which at that moment when you're just either want things to be over with so you can move on and deal with the next steps, or you want hope that nothing, serious is going on. That left me with some very conflicted feelings. Should I be hoping that everything's fine, or is this done? But of course, they don't tell you all those details at your ultrasound appointment. They tell you nothing. So, later that day, I got a call from my midwives, which I was very grateful because it can take a few days sometimes to get the info. And I just remember her saying, it looks like you're definitely miscarrying, but something's still up. There's your cervix isn't clear. And if you're not a mama listening to this, well, it's TMI for you, but too bad. Then I had to get referred. I went and visited the local OB and had a, kind of traumatic visit with her. Traumatic simply because I do not love being in the care of an OB. And that's just my personal. I've met some amazing obstetricians over the years, amazing. And I've worked with some amazing ones. But as a mom delivering in any situation, that's not my first choice. So it's what had to happen. Anyway, spent some time in her office, and basically she realized that my body hadn't delivered the baby. So it was traumatic in that sense. So it was her job then to remove everything. And it was obviously not anything, complicated because it was almost done. It's hard to explain that in a conversation, but she basically removed everything in one simple pop and it all just came out. The trauma in that for me was simply, I knew what was happening. I knew it was already over. But I think it was the matter of factness of the process, right? When you're so raw feeling in here and your body's just tired, like we'd gone through 2 nights of just not knowing what was going on. I didn't sleep for 2 days and not really sure what the process was and what had really happened. And you have so many questions. And as much as I appreciate the clinical approach that they take, it's what they do. It's so hard to be in that moment and not just, want to fall apart and cry and to just want to be angry and to want to be sad and to want to ask questions and all of those things, but you're trying to hold it together in this office, with sterile feeling, and to just know that was it. That was it. That was the end. That was hard for me. And maybe you've had similar experiences. Maybe you've gone through other scenarios, other situations like that. And maybe it wasn't hard. For me, it was. That was very traumatizing. And I realized what I missed in the grief side of things and in the processing of those emotions the first time I went through it. I think because this time I had allowed myself in a good way, and all of this was good in the emotion side of things, because I was letting myself feel. I was letting myself feel broken. I was letting myself grieve. I was letting myself be disappointed. I cried with the kids. We all talked about how disappointed we were. And the best moment, I have to tell you, it still makes me emotional, which again tells me I've done a lot of work. So if you've ever questioned whether therapy is for you, or whether energy work is for you, or a soul coach, or any of those things, and just being able to tap into that healing and that ability you have in your own body to make some changes with your emotions and to find some of that healing, do it. I can't emphasize that enough. With a professional, please. There's a lot of different aspects out there of practitioners and so on that I honestly would not open my soul to. So make sure, whether it's, prayer ministry, whether it's therapy, whether it's, energy work, whatever it looks like, or all of those things, make sure that it's safe for you and that you feel comfortable with that vulnerability, but that you have an opportunity to be vulnerable and to open and to let your walls down and to just be yourself, not be a mom, not be a professional woman, not be a wife, not be whatever it is that you've categorized yourself as, just to be you, even the little girl you, and to say, you know what, I'm hurt, I'm broken, and I just feel like I've fallen apart over this situation, or over these situations, or whatever it is. And that's where that healing starts, is being able to just acknowledge it and say, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing, and this is what my body is physically dealing with. And as you do that, you'll see what the healing does. And it's a process. It is not a one-step done and you did it and it's over. One of my favorite parts is when my youngest, like I said, he would kiss my belly all the time. And even afterwards, when he knew baby was gone, he would he came into my room and he laid on my belly and he kissed it and he kissed it and he kissed it. And he said, "Mommy, that's okay. We're just going to have a double rainbow baby." I was like, "What do you mean, buddy?" He's like, "Well, you lost other babies." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, then this one's two rainbows, which is even extra special. And his ability to just, take it in. He said that he was disappointed. I mean, there was tears on their part too, but they had such a beautiful understanding, more concerned about taking care of me, because that's just the kind of hearts they have. But that they knew it was safe for them to say their feelings, but also that they could encourage me at that moment. That was, to me, such a special thing, that these kids were able to say, hey, it's not the end. There could be more to come. Who knows? So he still kisses my belly as many chances as he gets. And he says, hello, rainbow baby. So who knows what he knows? I'm just going to go with it. So that has been a very emotional journey for the last little while. And also partly the reason why I have not been, putting out as much content or posting on social media and things like that as regularly as I normally do. We needed a soul break. We needed, as a family, we needed to step back, to regroup, to heal up, to spend some time together. And we've done that, and it was beautiful. And well, it's not an over process. It's always going to be happening. We're always healing up. We're always learning and growing. But I felt such a beautiful release kind of, happening as we took the time to rest and to just be together. I hope that if you've been through that, or if you're walking through some of those scenarios, maybe it's just trying to conceive, maybe it's multiple losses, whatever it looks like, I would just hope that you have a safe space, that you can take some time and you can walk through that grieving process, that you can have some professional support. You know that I'm here. I mean, yes, it's a podcast. I might not be live, but I'm available. You can always reach out. You can message me. You can contact me. And I always answer personally. That's a promise. I will always answer my messages, and it's me. It's not my assistant. It's not anyone else. But if you're in that place and you just need someone to connect with, I'm here. I'm happy to listen and to just share some tears with you, or any tips that I may have learned. So having said all of that, the exciting part for me is, as I took the time to just be still and take care of myself and take care of our family, and really feel out what those next steps looked like. Were we going to keep trying? Which we are. We are going to keep trying, and I hope you can send all of the healthy baby vibes our way, because we're going to need them as we keep going. But I really felt strongly that there was a beautiful lesson in this for me too, that you can plan all you want, and you can try all you want, and you can do all the right things, but life is still going to throw stuff at you. You can't prepare for everything. And I like to be planned. I like to have things laid out. I like to have it programmed in so I know what to expect. I don't like surprises. You ask my husband, should we have a surprise party for Holly? The answer will be no. No, we should not. He learned that early on, the poor guy. So I did take that lesson away, that no matter what is going on, no matter how planned you are, there's always going to be curveballs. There's always going to be things out of our control. At the end of the day, we can only control what we are in control of. And we can't be in control of everything, mamas. We might be that kind of mom who feels the need to have a handle on everything. It's not possible. It just isn't. We can't do that. So I would challenge you to, as you're heading into the fall, especially into September, to just pick one or two things that are important to you to have your hands on and to guide. Maybe it's schooling, maybe it's a goal of your own, who knows, whatever that looks like for you, but pick only one or two things. Don't pick 20 things. Don't worry about picture perfect lunch boxes for your children every day. So don't worry about those Instagram perfect back to school photos, or, going into grade whatever. I mean, if you do those, fantastic. If that's your one thing that you want to have done, do it. But learn to and choose to let some of the other things, let go of those controls a little bit, or loosen the control, or hand it over to your spouse, to an older child that you have, to someone to help you out, or just let it go. I had to learn that there was priorities in those moments that were more important than my business, that were more important than posting on social media, that were more important than getting my fall planning done at the 1st of August. My health and my body were more important. My family, gathering them into me and holding on to my babies, was important. And it was hard for me. That might sound really simple, but when you have as many things running as I do on a regular basis, to drop it all is a scary moment, and to let control go and say, I'm off the grid. I'm done for a few weeks. I'm not available. I'm not available to anyone but me. I'm not available to anyone but my family for right now. And that's okay. There are those moments that you need to do that. So I would challenge you as you head into the fall, like I said, try not to take it all on. What movie was it where they talked about how he was going to send her a bouquet of freshly sharpened pencils because it's fall and that just reminds her of the fall? I think it was You've Got Mail. I'm dating myself now. But I remember that line, and I always think of it when it comes to September, the smell of freshly sharpened pencils. And as a former teacher, I can attest to that. But as we head into September, we come up, it's kind of like we suddenly have all these goals and ambitions and things that have to happen. So just take a breath and choose those 2 to 3 things maybe for September. And if taking care of yourself hasn't been one of those things, it has to be. It may not be going to the gym every day. It may not be, I don't know, going biking or running or something. Maybe it's not just your fitness. A lot of us put that as our main priority. I had to make a priority just simply to go sit on the beach, put my feet in the grass for 15, 20 minutes a day. It could be that simple, right? So choose what it is you can do. What is it you are in control of? What is it you are able to accomplish easily? And when it flows with ease, when you do it on a regular basis, it becomes easier. But take care of you. That's an automatic. And then the other things that you want to make your goal, those are going to happen too. You'll be able to do those at a higher level of accomplishment than if you weren't taking care of you. So I appreciate that I had time to take care of myself and my family, and I am looking forward to moving ahead with all our plans for the rest of the year. Having said that, we're going to talk with some amazing guests throughout September all about women's immediate health. And we're talking right now, health we need to deal with right now. And it will be things like we've got pelvic health that we're going to deal with. Pelvic floor health. Yes, we're talking about pelvic floor health. We are going to be talking about osteopathy and women specifically, and energy work and all that great stuff that comes with that I've talked about, how that affects our body on a physical level. We're going to be talking about how we can use, different things to adjust our emotions, hormones, all those things, right, that are happening in our bodies. So stay tuned. We've got some good stuff coming up. I promise you, I am on it now. I've had time to regroup. I've had time to get planning, and we're going to keep on going. And as always, if there is a topic that you are really interested in and you'd like to hear an expert on or hear some conversation on, you feel free to let me know in the comments, in the feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to my first solo episode. I am so grateful for you. And as always, don't forget to share our podcast, comment, save it, subscribe, all those fun things. Would you like to learn more? Find me on Instagram and YouTube at Mom Days Podcast.